my office manager called me into her office, and she goes, "Hey, Beyonce wants to go to lunch with you." There's a Polaroid picture with me and her and
Show
Beyonce.
of hands. Who believes that story?
I know. Nope. So there was a
Nobody.
There was a Polaroid. She asked me out to lunch. I said no. That's just plain and simple.
You know, life deals you a lot of cards, and you gotta use the cards and play the cards that you're dealt. And it's not always the cards you want. You just gotta navigate that. And someone helped me navigate those things. Wanted to help, and to me, that's church.
So I used to work for, when I was in high school, I used to work for this attorney.
Of course you did.
Yeah, of course. So we used to coordinate with a chiropractor that was down the office. We're basically ambulance chasers, you know, to where back in the days where like you would actually drive around, look for accidents, and you'll get down and be like, oh man, I was a witness. It was a bad accident. And you would get off and you would give them the information from whatever attorney's your office used to work for. So that's what I used to do in high school. I used to drive around the Kirby area, Gallery area, and if anybody got into an accident, I would get down and then we would refer them to the chiropractor. Where Beyonce's uncle worked for the chiropractor office. So one day he comes down, he goes, "Hey, my niece is really blowing up with a song." It was when Bills came out, and he was like, I'm going to bring her down here. So we're like, oh, cool, that's a cool song. So she comes down, and we meet her, we take pictures with her. Well, a few minutes later, my office manager called me to her office, and she goes, "Hey, what are you going to do for lunch?" I was like, "No, I'm going to grab something to eat." She was like, "Beyonce wants to go to lunch with you." And I was like, ain't she like 16, 17 years old? I mean, I was in high school. I was 17. But I was like, wait, well, she has to be younger. And then they were like, "No, she's around your age." And I was like, "No, I'm not interested." And they're like, "No." So they brought her down, and we took pictures with her. We took pictures in the hallway, and she was being so nice to me. And I was like, "Girl, chill out," right? And then, because I had a girlfriend at the time, well, when she asked for lunch, I said no. And then, years now, I'm like, I turned down Beyonce. It's a true story. So there's a Polaroid picture with me and her and
Show
Beyonce.
of hands. Who believes that story?
I know. No, oh my God. So there was a Polaroid picture. So LaJuan Wagner, she was my office manager. If you're listening, if we can find it, if anybody knows her, we can find her. She took a Polaroid picture of me and Beyonce in the hallway, and she was the one that was like, "Oh, she's really nice." I was like, "Nah, I got a girlfriend," and that was it. She left, and then till this day,
Nope.
So
I just looked it up. I looked up Alex and Beyonce in the hallway. There is nothing on the World Wide Web. Everything is on the World Wide Web.
Because this was going to relate to what I was about to actually talk to y'all about, is that how the evolution of having everything on film and video online. So there is a picture. I know it's at my house, but being that I'm a Hispanic, my mom has 75,000 photos, but her responsibility, God bless my mom, before we have a celebration of life, she needs to find that picture, because I will prove that. I mean, I have no reason to lie about it. Like, she likes older men. Jay-Z is like 15 years older than her. I was like 15 years older than her.
What?
No, there's no
Okay,
way.
you just publicly said Beyonce was 16 and you were 15 years older than
No,
her.
I'm saying. Oh, no.
Okay, that's
rewind.
not good.
We all know I'm bad in math, but she was younger than me, and I wasn't interested. Plus, I had a girlfriend, and now she likes older men. Maybe I was 2 or 3 years older. I don't know. I don't know how much more older Jay-Z is than her, but so when you said that Beyonce was singing, I was like, cut that off. Like, I probably would have ended up ruining her life anyway, so it didn't matter. She would definitely made it. But that song,
Poor Mel.
no. Yeah, no. Yeah, she doesn't believe me either. What was Beyonce's song?
Single Ladies?
Yeah, Single Ladies?
You're a single lady?
No, it was totally about me, because I turned her down. I promise. Like, I don't know how much more you can promise it.
Do not promise
how-
that Single
is that-
Ladies
is
was
that
about
a-
you.
I can promise that I met her. I can promise that she asked me out to lunch. I can promise that.
Okay, so
Something.
she was up in the club after you just broke up?
That's literally the lyrics. She's
Yeah.
doing her own little thing.
Can't believe her. I'm glad I didn't hook up. I didn't want that kind of woman. Hey, look how old she is. Let's see how old she is.
How old do you think she is? If you're how old?
I'm 46.
Okay, and she was 3 years younger than you.
She was
3
15
years.
years younger than you, so she is 31.
So I met her when she was 7. No.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 46. I don't remember how old she
Yeah,
was, but
this isn't adding up.
yeah, no. Well,
You
obviously
said you were in high school, right?
yes, I was in high school, or I
Till
was
he's
either a
21.
freshman. I was either a high school. I was either a senior in high school, or I was a freshman in because I worked from that law firm. When I
Okay,
was a
so
senior.
she was max 15 years old. Now look up how old she was when that song came out. What was it called?
Bills. Wait. How old is she right now? Like, what's her age?
She's 4 years younger than you. She's 42.
So if I was 17, 18, she had to be like 15. Yeah, there it goes.
She came out with that song.
17 minus 4 is not 15.
Yes, it is. Shut up.
And so it was Destiny's Child, not.
Destiny's Child, right.
And that was in 1999.
So I graduated high school in 95. So that's 4 years. I graduated high school in 95.
This is getting worse, or
I know. So I
So
was
you were
21.
22.
So 22. So how many years younger was she?
4.
4. When y'all do them. So was she like? She must have been like 17, 18. I do remember saying that she was too young for me.
22 minus 4.
Man. Yes, I know. Yeah. So she had to be.
Is
No,
what?
I don't think you do.
Yeah, 17 or 18. But anyways, so I thought she would be too young for me. That's why. And plus, I had a girlfriend. Now, my whole point, it wasn't even the age. It was the fact that I had a girlfriend at the time. I was trying to be respectful. But she was all digging me. It's weird.
Was your girlfriend a multi-platinum singer?
Yeah, but at that time, she just did bills. That was, oh my God.
I commend you for sticking true to your girlfriend.
No, well, aside from that, man, I'm telling you, once we find that picture, it's going down. Like that's why, like I was gonna segue into what we're talking about, just being that Jonathan's online all the time, and we had a conversation earlier about how you can get yourself caught up in online and what you're watching, what you're seeing. Like back then, we just didn't have it. I mean, if I had a photo or a video, like. She asked me out to lunch. I said, no, that's just plain and simple. Because we're thinking about Beyonce now, like, you know, what she is now. But we're thinking about back then, like, when with Destiny's Child, she wasn't as popular as famous. She was popular in the Houston area. But my attorney also was an entertainment attorney, and he used to represent a couple of rap groups. He represented UGK. Does anybody remember UGK? Houston folks? So
I was not born.
Yeah. So UGK, Underground Kings, they were like they were from Port Arthur, and they were a very prominent rap group that started like the culture down here in the South on rap. So I knew that he knew a lot of people. There used to be a song called 25 Ladders on My Dresser. I guarantee you, if there is somebody out there listening, they'll know what it was. So I didn't think it was nothing of it, but I didn't think nothing about Beyonce.
There are at least 6 women in the world that look like really close to Beyonce.
You got to be doing this research on the screen so that James can just kind of cut to what you're Googling occasionally.
So I guess I don't even want to go into the fact that I also had a chance with Jennifer Lopez.
No.
Okay,
not a chance.
Okay, so no, well, I didn't
So
necessarily
Christmas is coming up.
Okay, so yeah, with the Christmas shopping, I think one of the biggest things that I'm realizing tying into this whole social media thing is that
You're really working hard on this being a social media conversation.
yes, because it's unfair. Like I legitimately feel that it's unfair that nobody believes me that. I mean, why not? I mean, look at Jay-Z. He is not a good-looking dude. So,
What does he have that you don't?
probably about
Money.
$1 trillion and
Personality.
my personality is way better than Jay-Z. I mean, maybe she just likes dudes that look weird with good personalities. I have a good personality. I may not be looking the best. According to your mom, I have a face for radio instead. But hey, Beyonce could have
And
liked
she
it.
has and Beyonce, or Jay-Z has a face for Beyonce. You have a face for radio. How are y'all the same? Or how are you better?
Well, at the time that she met me, I could have been. I could have helped her, guide her. I could have helped worked her out.
You were working at a law firm as a grunt,
Yeah.
chasing ambulances.
Yeah, for sure. I was an ambulance chaser. Hey, but I learned a lot.
You know who
about that.
Jay-Z founded?
Yeah, Rockefeller Records and all that. Wait, he was selling drugs. I wasn't selling drugs. I was trying to make a real hard, respectable living.
How many times did you go to jail?
I've never been to jail. Detained is totally different than jail. Because what we talked about before, y'all both have a one-up on me. So
Has Jay-Z
Yeah.
been to jail?
probably so. I mean, that's Jay-Z. So when I went to the Jay-Z Beyonce concert a few years ago, the person at the time took me to the concert, and I didn't want to tell the story about it because they were like, yeah, whatever. But I felt a connection with her when I was there.
He
Yeah.
never faced prison time,
Yeah, of
but he
course
was
not.
barred from leaving New York City for the following 3 years. So there was a
How old
Yeah.
was Jay-Z when he dated Beyonce? Click on that. I want to know what's the age.
Wait, hold on.
difference.
He pleaded guilty to what?
I don't know.
There was a
Oh.
victim. This is not sounding good.
Man, how could
Oh,
you? She denied you for this, Buttermilk Jr. over here.
Somebody was
So-
stabbed. It was not him, but he was an assailant or something.
yeah.
Okay,
So she liked. There was a possibility that she liked Bad Boys. I mean, I was a bad boy.
bad boys
back
for
then.
life.
Bad Boys. Yeah. I mean, I was sharp dressed. I had my suit and tie on. I mean, you can't deny that. But it happens. Anyhow, so that's the only thing I regret, that we didn't have social media back then. Now, it's whatever.
Yeah, so Christmas is coming up.
You know who's gonna have
Third time's a charm.
you know who's gonna have a good Christmas? Beyonce and Jay-Z,
You know
They're gonna have a
why?
great movie.
because
They
they're
have
not.
more money than you.
No, it's
They have more
because
money than me, too.
I turned her down. And she owes me.
Well, I brought you guys Christmas gifts.
Oh, are you serious?
I did. I am serious.
Well, I mean, Christmas is next week. That's pressure. Have y'all guys actually finished y'all's Christmas shopping?
Mm-hmm.
Oh dang! I know you haven't. I know he hasn't. So I don't feel as bad as that if I haven't.
Mel hasn't bought her own presents.
Oh, she is, but way more.
So speaking of presents, I heard that you shared with us a very long, detailed, itemized list from your children.
oh, yeah.
And
I
you
think-
said you were going to buy like half those things
That
for 'em.
was
Don't
the
worry.
most insane thing I think I have ever seen.
Hey, sorry, kiddos, because they actually watched, but I had to share what y'all text me. Y'all crazy. That was a list.
No, he said he appreciated the detail, orientedness of the list, and he's going to get about half those things. You can't get out everything because he only owns a gym.
I didn't end up. Yeah, and I didn't end up hooking up with Beyonce, so I definitely can't afford that. But yeah, I blame it on social media. Like, there's so many access to what you can look for. I mean, think about it.
How
How?
do
What do
we
you-
keep circling back to social media?
Because look, you guys are my counselor. I fired my therapist so I can come every week to talk to y'all.
To get
And y'all keep
gaslit?
y'all keep on diverting away the attention of
That
what
was
I
a
need.
terrible decision.
Wait, are you going to pay us?
No, well, yeah. I pay you with C4s because that's all I can afford.
Is that what you paid your therapist?
Yeah. When I bring her a C4, she's like, Alex, this is not how it works.
It's $100 a session.
Yeah.
We take
It's
Blue Cross Blue
$120
Shield.
a session.
Okay, 60.
I actually would if y'all give me some of the, I mean, y'all do give me good advice, but y'all need to listen, first of all. So I
Yeah,
did
that's
fire,
not gonna happen.
I fired my
Not worth it.
therapist 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, okay, well, now I got to find this problem. I was like you're coming into a new family. You're coming into, you want to be a supportive, loving father. They assume that you have this amount of money, and then they send you a Christmas gift. You're like, that's a lot of stuff. Like, I need some kind of biblical sense behind it, because then it makes me feel better that I know that, yeah, it ain't happening. Come on.
James, help me out. Is there a Bible verse about your kids sending you a Christmas list that's too big, and how you own a gym and you don't make enough money to buy all that sort of stuff, but they think you just make all kinds of money? Is there a Bible verse about that?
Thou shalt buy your kids all things they want.
Oh, Jesus. That's
Yep.
gluttony.
That's the 11th. No, that's the 11th commandment, Alex.
I learned that last week.
He says Jesus. First of all, Moses said that. And then second of all,
That's gluttony.
that's
That's
not gluttony.
over. Yeah, that's over gluttony. That's gluttony over. What was it? Overindulging in stuff that's
What?
overindulging in stuff that's not needed.
Boom. You just answered your own question. Give your kids a lesson about gluttony and overconsumption.
Sorry,
That's
kids.
that's what I'm talking about.
I
That's
was-
why I
He's
pay-
like, I
No.
knew this was worth it.
I was voting for more present for kids, but
No, but I mean, I would
Bro,
have.
had you bought that entire list, that has to be $5,000 worth of stuff.
so
I know. I wish we.
On
I should have
average-
texted to you so you can just scroll through it. It was a lot. I mean, I exaggerate. I know everybody probably thinks that my stories are exaggerated, which they minimum. I showed them the list and it was long. It was
So
long.
in 2021, U.S. holiday shopping generated $886 billion in
God.
sales, which is a 14% increase. That gives the average American $826 they spend in Christmas gifts, food, and decorations.
That's a lot. Do you feel that's accurate? Do you feel that number is accurate?
I don't feel that's accurate,
Do
actually.
you feel it's more or less?
I feel like we spend more than $826.
sure.
When
sure.
it says gifts, food, and decorations, no, the tree I bought was $120.
Yeah. Well, so that's taking into account Scrooges who don't do Christmas. That's taking into account everybody, right? So,
Yeah.
like your typical father, ain't no way he's getting out of that for $826. No way.
Yeah, just from the gifts, because for this past weekend, the only I did my good duty as a husband. Melissa needed to go to a couple of stores. She wanted to pick up some Christmas stuff, and I was like, "I'll go with you." That was a bad idea. I mean that.
It was a great idea.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. No. You. Oh my God. I'm defining like Jonathan last week. Like the fact.
When I was all tongue tied.
Yeah, the
was
fact
like,
of how small stuff you can buy, yeah, that was exactly. Well, that was
That's what I was
when
doing
you
last
go to each store
That
and
was
you see the
scary.
total what you're buying, just for like simple Christmas stuff. That's
So you know what was going on over there? If you're having a seizure mid-show or what?
yeah, he definitely was. That's the C4. That's why I stick to Mountain Dew.
Well, speaking of, you stick to Mountain Dew, what are you drinking right now? You don't even know. You don't even know what you're drinking right now.
I just don't even know how my mouth feels right now.
Why would I want to know what your mouth feels like? That is not something I want to feel.
I keep on going like this, because people are gonna wonder why I swear to y'all, the back of my mouth feels numb.
Why?
I don't know. Ask yourselves that.
Why would I ask myself? I don't know why your mouth feels that way.
Listeners, if y'all see me acting weird, everybody knows I'm infamous for my cup. I've had this cup for 13 years, and I can honestly say I probably wash it once a week. But everything I pour in there, it tastes the same.
That's disgusting.
No,
That's why your mouth is numb.
No. Melissa will attest to it. Babe, let them know. I don't wash it. I don't wash my cup because I pour the same stuff in there.
And
Ice,
do you use
BCAAs,
soap
and
for
sparkling
when you
water.
bathe
Nope,
and shampoo?
nope,
Yeah,
nope.
this guy's.
Yeah. So I've drank out of this cup for over 13 years. I've had this cup for over 13 years. It's fallen out of my car. It's been lost, but I've kept it. And yeah, I don't wash it. It's just
I
the way
lost it,
is.
but I kept it. What?
No, I lost it and found it, and I don't wash it. I literally
So
wash it.
get to the
once a
point.
week.
Why does your mouth feel weird?
So I go to the restroom, and we've had some issues with the gym sink here, and I come back.
Wait, you used the
And-
restroom in the sink?
No, I used the restroom, and I was washing my hands, and something smelled weird about the water. So I came back, and I was like, oh, I don't know what's going on. So I drink out of my cup, get my throat cleared, and it definitely did not taste what I had in there. So apparently right now, well, Jonathan finally admitted it because he has a good heart,
Well, I didn't do anything.
that they poured my drink that I was normally drinking, and they poured the sink water in my cup after we just spoke with our main sponsor, Daniel Voigt. Thank you for giving me sink water. But there's something wrong with the sink water, and it
smells
horrible.
like old steamed broccoli that was left in my
old
car
steamed
for a
broccoli,
while.
and it tastes like it smells like
What?
urine.
Will you finish? It tastes
So I
like,
drank
smells
it.
like, looks like, feels like.
So I drank some of it,
Urine.
and I was like, man, this doesn't taste right. I drank some of it, tastes like, and now the back of my mouth feels numb.
If that water were to make a sound, what would it be?
Ka-chunka. That's what it sounded like. Because as soon as I drank it, it went ka-chunka. Like it took my cheeks and pulled them back.
Family.
No, I could definitely relate to that.
You can
That's why I
relate
kept
to that
like-
sound?
Did you
Yeah,
say that water tastes like
ka-chunka.
urine?
Yeah, it tastes
How
like.
you know what
that.
urine tastes like?
So one time, I've
He has a story for
Yeah.
everything.
Beyonce,
So when I-
we were backstage.
Yeah. No. So when I was playing football, I was heading to a football game. It was local. And I got on 45. Obviously, we all, or those from Houston, 45. It actually has been named like the
45
number
is
one.
a road.
Yeah, 45 is a freeway that has actually been
Thank
named
you. Finish the thought.
one of the the number one most
Number
car
one most.
infest or not infested.
Yes.
What's the word to call? Look it up
Yes.
for me.
Infected.
No, not infected.
Indigenous.
No,
Insidious.
What's it? What traffic?
Insane.
Okay, insane freeways.
You didn't like my suggestions?
No. So insane freeway. So I get on the freeway and I have to head about 20, 30 minutes away. So I'm drinking a lot of fluids. My game is at 7 o'clock. This was probably about 4 o'clock. So I'm like, I'm late. So I had to be there by 5. And so I'm drinking all, my BCAAs, salt water, just stay hydrated. I get on the freeway, boom, accident on the freeway. So, I'm stuck in traffic. So I'm looking around and all of a sudden that urge kicks in. And you're like, oh man, I got to use the restroom. So I had a big old 32 ounce of Powerade bottle. So I reached back and I said, I got to do this. So are we going to edit me out? Are we going to veto?
No.
Oh no, this is
As long as I don't cuss, right? So I get the 32 ounce bottle. I put it in park because the traffic's not moving. So I empty out all my 32 ounce.
You're being safe.
Powerade. Yeah. So I pour it out. So this 18-wheeler pulls up next to me, and I sit there and I basically start urinating in the bottle. So he looks over and he's like, he gives me a thumbs up. Like he's like, yo, I do it. I feel like he says I do it all the time too. So I'm like, finish. I was like, oh. So I throw it behind me, which I had probably about 5 or 6 Powerade bottles behind me. So boom, I felt great. I cut through. The 18-wheeler driver actually was like pulled in front of me because there was like a clear way because the accident was on the left-hand side and I was on the very far left hand. So he actually signaled to me. He was like, come in front of me. I was like, oh, thank you, man. Because I was like, I'm on a time schedule. So I drive in front of him.
Y'all had a lot of conversation.
He was right next to me the whole time.
But like you're just giving all these words, like y'all actually had a full-on conversation. But
Yeah.
you literally, it's like,
yeah, well,
Alex carried a CB radio in his car back then.
I had a PT Cruiser, so that was different. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But anyways, so he lets me pull in front. So I pulled over, and all of a sudden it was a clear sailing. So I'm flying to the stadium.
it's a 4-cylinder. You ain't flying.
Oh, I'm like, no, that sucker was like an 8-volt battery because it was like, oh, clear sailing. Boom. Well, anyway, so I'm able to make it to the field about 5:15, and when I was playing ball, I was always punctual. I was like, man, that was the one thing I always want to do. I want to be there before anybody else start warming up. So I get there, I throw all the bottles into my bag. So I run into the locker room, I change, and I always had this pregame ritual. So I take all the bottles, I put it in the bag, go out there, I start warming up. I was like, man, it was hot that day, so I was like, let me go and get some. Well, it was my luck that the Powerade bottle that I chose was lemon lime. So I pulled it out, man, it was kind of yellowish. Looked like lemon lime. So I turned it, chug. I was like, this is kind of warm. And I was like, this doesn't taste right. So I was like, let me take one more chug. Took another chug. And then all of a sudden I was just like, no. And then I tried to stick my finger in my throat to make it puke. It didn't happen. When I looked at the
Tried
bottle,
to stick James' finger down your throat earlier, bro.
That was.
he told me to try it. So, so I drank literally probably about 10 or 12 ounces of my own urine, but it looked like that. It literally like this.
Okay, so here's how the story could have gone. Well, I was late to a game one time, and I grabbed a Gatorade bottle, and I had to pee in it because I had no other option. I was stuck in traffic. Well, a few minutes later, I reached back for another Gatorade bottle, and I drank the urine.
It happened
That
to you
was
too?
the story that lasted 5 minutes.
I like to be descriptive.
You
But
could
okay, besides the fact, whatever y'all put
describe
it-
a lot of cars on 45. Go ahead. Give us one word.
A lot of cars. Well, first there was the.
There's no story. It's just a word.
Hey, but anyway, so whatever was in here, it tasted and it reminded me of that day. That was horrible.
So if
Horrible.
the taste made a sound, what would it be?
Beep. That's what I think of.
So the water and the taste.
Like when
make
you
different
drink it, you're
sounds.
like, beep. No. Well, that's probably what I'm thinking. Hey, God forbid, man, rest in peace. I'm actually sounding like my deaf cousin because those are the sounds that he would make. Because when I tried to make him taste it, he was like, beep.
That is awful.
No, it's not.
That is so sad.
No, it's not. That's what he would be. He'd be like, beep, no, beep. That's because he was at the game, and I said, hey, do you want some? And then, because he asked me, he was like, I'm thirsty. I said, try this. And he looked at it. He goes, what's different about the color? And I go, it's the same. It's the same. And then he smelled it. He was like, beep, beep. So he realized that it wasn't lemon lime. It was my urine. But Manny Pacquiao is a boxer. He claims that he got stronger drinking.
Did you go
urine.
train with him too? You
No,
met
but-
Beyonce and then you went to go train with Manny Pacquiao?
No, I didn't train with Manny Pacquiao. I'm just saying that he actually would drink his own pee during fight camp to say that it would make him stronger. So that's what kind of made me feel better. Like, okay, well, I drank it.
You know
It
how
is
you're
what
not
it is.
you know how you can tell you're not hydrated enough?
Your pee's yellow.
Yes. And you
But
went-
mine was
Yours
yellow
was
white.
like
Used
lime.
yours with a lemon lime Powerade.
you were
lemon
like
lime.
peeing glow stick.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's lemon lime, I mean that stuff is pretty yellow.
No, it literally looked about like this. I mean, it
That's
wasn't that
that's
bad.
also in a green bottle.
Oh,
Pour it out. It's like glow stick liquid.
yeah. I mean, I was probably dehydrated from the
not
night
healthy.
before. Yeah, I was probably dehydrated from the night before. But anyways, so back to social media. That
So Christmas is coming up.
yeah. Oh yeah. So thank you for your help with that. So I don't have to buy all of that. That's too much pressure. Too many gifts.
So what do your holiday traditions look like?
Well, in our culture, it's the Christmas Day. We do prayer to baby Jesus, and we actually have a lot. I said about a lot. No, I'm just a big baby Jesus, and we pass it around and we say, I forgot the rosary. Sorry, for the Catholics, and then we open gifts. Michael. Because I get in trouble for continuing talking about it. Because I'm not. Anyways, Michael.
Well, we're gonna have family over at the house, and we have a big meal. But then Christmas
Oh,
morning.
what do y'all eat?
Oh,
I've learned a lot today about what different people eat during Christmas. What do y'all eat? Nachos. We don't eat nachos.
so we do different things at different Christmases, but at my family we'll do a big baked ham, and then all the fixins.
Do y'all ever do? I think they call it wedding soup.
Nope.
Have you ever heard of that? No.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You have
Yeah.
wedding
did.
soup.
Yeah. They have it at Olive Garden.
Yeah. It's
Men don't eat at Olive Garden, so
that's James saying it, but
he
Yeah.
also clucks like a chicken at Olive Garden,
Quacks
Yeah,
like a
also-
duck.
or quacks like a duck. I don't know.
wedding soup. I was just curious about it because of the different cultures. So
It's an Italian soup. You know,
yeah,
they're all
Zuppa
American.
Toscano. That's what it's called.
yeah, that's it.
So interesting story about foods from different cultures. So one side of my wife's family is very Italian.
What?
So when we, I think fully Italian. And so when we got married, she was really, really excited for me to try her family spaghetti. She's like, I don't know that I can make it the best, but my mom can make it for you. I said, okay, well, we lived just a few minutes from her mom at that time. And She called and said, "Hey, I just made a bunch of spaghetti. Can I bring Jonathan some?" My wife said, "Yes. I've been wanting to show him." So her mom brings it over. She leaves like some Tupperware. I said, "Oh, thanks." Gave hugs, whatever. She left. I open it up, and there are hard-boiled eggs in this spaghetti.
What?
Oh.
What?
I was like, what on the green earth that we live on is that? And she said,
What?
This is how Italians make their spaghetti. I said, with hard-boiled eggs.
Ew.
Italians make meatballs. She's like, babe, my family is Italian. They make it with eggs. I was like, you need to call your mom right now, and I need to hear it from her. Because there's
Wait.
no way. Her mom, we call her mom. My wife says, can you please tell Jonathan that it's the authentic Italian way to make spaghetti, to put hard-boiled eggs in it? And her mom said, what? No, your dad just doesn't like meatballs, so we put hard-boiled eggs in it.
God.
But she thought her whole life that was like a special Italian thing.
Oh, because I was about to say, and I was like, I think I met her. Did I meet her? Was that who I met on Friday? I sent you a picture.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was going to delete her off my phone for putting. But now that, yeah. Well, wait. So her dad doesn't like meatballs, so egg. Well, I mean, it couldn't be that bad.
I think it became a family tradition because when he was young, he didn't like meatballs, and his mom wanted him to eat protein, so she put eggs in it,
Oh, okay,
and then it
that's
became a
pretty good.
family thing.
I think I'm going to do that.
That's disgusting.
No, it's disgusting with this aftertaste. I can't get rid of it, man. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, James. But anyways,
You also
so
missed James preaching on Sunday. We forgot to tell you.
What was the topic?
It was
Because are y'all still doing the 8 weeks to a better body?
yeah, that was the 8th week.
Oh,
talked
really?
about
He
a-
finished it off?
Yeah, he talked
Cool.
about avoiding injury. Well, actually, Michael's finishing it Wednesday. Same topic.
Oh, this coming Wednesday? What
Like-
time?
2 days from now.
7.
I might try to make it. So James, James, I didn't know. I didn't see you Friday. I didn't see you Sunday. I didn't know. So what's the topic of what you did on Sunday?
We know what you didn't do on Friday.
Well,
Be there to be supportive.
I talked about stress fractures mainly, and I talked about stress fractures being unattended, and they can get worse if they're not treated properly. And so I talked about injuries in the church, and if they're not treated properly, that they can get worse, and they can grow, and they can cause divisions. And a lot of that stuff Paul wrote about in 1 Corinthians, and he taught that we need to love each other, and that's what heals those kind of injuries. That's what the sermon was about.
That's actually really good. Did you come up with that yourself, or what? Do you get
Uh,
ideas, or
God
like a
did.
foundation of what to talk about?
Yeah,
Like,
the foundation was that book that our Creator wrote us. It was the Bible.
I'm trying to give you props, James, but I'm going to go over there and slap you. I know
Santa
that.
Biblia.
Like, yeah.
Let me translate.
Hey, this is fitting for a show that's going to be before we have to resume in the 2 weeks for the
No,
holidays. But James, I was trying to give you credit, but I was wondering did you get a what do you call it? I know every time I look at you, I just get mad. I don't know why. An outline. Did you get an outline of what to talk about? Because that's a good correlation between it.
They gave him the topic. I think he came up with his own outline, but
Oh, that's good. No, that's what I'm
same
saying.
here. Same with Michael. He did one, and
I did
don't know
avoiding
why-
atrophy.
And avoiding atrophy. Oh, let me guess. Tied in with the fact that if you're avoiding the biblical sense of it and learning that you lose it as you go along.
There's that application, and if you're not training, you're not working, you're not doing anything, you're dying like a
Right.
muscle would. If you lie there, in bed, you'll eventually, because of an injury or whatever, your muscles will atrophy, and so those muscles will diminish. Well, if you're not, as a Christian, if you're not growing, learning, sharing, working, doing, you will also diminish in your faith and in your service and
True
all those
that.
things. And so how do we combat that? We combat that with training properly, things like that. And so we talked about that.
No, that's a good point. Because I always see that if there's people that grew up in the church environment, and they kind of go astray, they lose it, and then then obviously you do have a chance with muscle memory. We'll call it biblical memory. If you do try to regain it, then then it has that.
Yeah.
Well, and so, for our listeners who didn't listen to last week's episode, our church was going through an 8 weeks to a better body series, meaning body of Christ, the church, Christians, that idea, and working together, growing stronger together, all those sorts of things. And there's application you can make to a business, to a gym, to a whatever, out of all those things. And so the idea in all of these things is, on a personal level, yes, if you're not working, if you're not training, then your faith dwindles. On a church perspective, if the church is not working together, spending time together, trying to grow and push each other, like the iron sharpens iron concept, if the church is not doing those things, a church will dwindle. I mean, there have been churches that are hundreds of members strong that over time they just didn't work, and they just lost the sense of drive to minister to their community and stuff like that. And what happens? The church just shrinks away and eventually closes its doors.
With that idea, and just made me think about it. So you mentioned last week that some businesses some churches can be considered like a business because you have the finance behind it, you have payments, you have mortgages, but you don't hear a lot of like the churches closing down because of financial hardship, and the fact that the businesses businesses will close down. I mean, they say that 1 in every 3 business will close down within a year. So what do you think is the success of a church to be able to maintain it, and how do you maintain it over the years to where maybe business people like me that are not in a church field, how can we grasp that to
take
be able
that
to learn?
same example?
Yeah, because I think you don't hear that many churches closing down, but they have financial responsibilities.
So I would argue that if a church closes down, it's not because of a financial issue 99.99999% of the time. Because a church can exist without a building. A church can exist without, whatever. You lose the building, you go meet in somebody's house, right? The church is going to stand regardless if people are doing what they're supposed to do. If a church closes its doors officially and ceases to exist, it's probably because of injuries in the church, division in the church, atrophy in the church. It could be a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it's a people problem, not a money problem, that sort of thing. If you have the people doing what they're supposed to do, the money problems kind of solve themselves. And I know in our congregation, our particular church was started 30 years ago. Yeah, over 30 years ago. And it started with just a few families that moved out to this area and said, hey, we need a church here. And they started a church. And those are not that they didn't have a church before, but they got a couple friends to move to the same area, and they said, we're going to establish a church in this area. This area needs Christ, right? Well, over time, that's grown to 40 members, 60 members, 80 members, 100 members, and now we're at 100, whatever. And there was a day and time when they said, we need a building, we need somewhere where the public can see that we meet and we can reach more people. And there were individuals signing their names on dotted lines to purchase property, to get the loans that they needed, and putting their own livelihoods at risk in order to do that. And then over time, through hard work, through people loving their community, through outreach and all that sort of stuff, now we have a thriving congregation of lots of people. And when there's lots of people, the burden is shared. It's not on two people's backs to hope that they can keep the building open. You know what I mean? And so it's cool to see, like, as generations enter the church and grow up and get out of college and go make careers and all those sorts of things, and because a lot of what the church is instilling in people in hard work and discipline and all those sorts of things, that carries into people's lives. You see people's lives turn around, become more successful, and then they can pour back into that congregation and fund mission work and fund community outreach and fund all those sorts of things that all of us care about, because the church is what made us who we are, right? I can confidently say I would not be as successful as I am if it weren't for people in that room. And when I say the church, I mean the people. That's the church. And so it's cool seeing a group of people grow over time, but that only happens when you're pushing each other, when you're involved, when you're passionate about what you're doing, or else atrophy sets in, you know.
When did you join the church?
We started going there in early 2000.
What?
So,
That's a long time. So how do you?
I mean, we were like, we didn't go to church growing up, so church was new to us. So we kind of came and went.
So
and kind of
did your mom find the church, or how did you?
So my mom and dad, they worked in a town north of where the building is, and it was a small building. It wasn't the building that we're in now,
okay.
And they would drive by that building, and there was like a sign, kind of like the signs that are out there now, but a little different. And people would go and change the letters on the sign, and they would put Bible verses up every week. And so every week that my mom and dad drove by that building, they would go to their office in Conroe, and they'd read the verse. It was like the only church for like a 5-mile stretch. I mean, it was just no churches.
I know it's a long road.
And so they would drive that road every day, and they'd see a verse, and then the next week it'd be a different verse. They got talking about it. And so we moved here in 2001, and then eventually they said, we probably need to go to church. It's probably something we should do for our kids, you know. And so they said, well, let's just go try that church. And so we tried that church, and we met his family. He was just born when we first got there. And
so my family was one of those few families that went
in that church plant. So
I wasn't born yet, but
yeah,
that's accurate.
When the church
that's
plant,
accurate dates. I mean, or do you want to do Alex dates and be like,
no,
I was negative 7 years
take
old.
now minus 30 years, so it was 93.
Yeah.
So that was 8 years before I was born. You know, it was my older siblings that moved with my parents to that area. But yeah, it's cool seeing it. I mean, I haven't seen a 5-year stretch where we've gone down in number, right? You know, now there's fluctuation. People move. Obviously. And people, you know, if everybody that started going to church never got a job somewhere else
or
and had
died.
To move away or died or anything like that, we'd be
15 people who've died.
Tons of, you know. Yeah. If everybody decided to have 12 kids, you know, we'd grow super fast and all those sorts of things. But you know, I've had siblings move off and those sorts of things. But while that's happening and that ebb and flow happens, there's also community members that start attending church with us. And, you know, it's just, you gain 10 and then 5, you know, move away. They get church homes somewhere else. And then you gain another 10. And over the years, you just see it grow and grow. It's cool.
So with both of y'all being that, I mean, it sounds like you both started off when you were literally kids. And now that you guys have kids there, how does that feel? That has to be like a strange, not strange. It's just, to me, I think it's amazing. So, so when you started in 2000, you're what, 34?
I'm 33, and I was 11 when we moved here.
So you started going there when so you were one of the young kids walking around, and you weren't born. So how does it feel now that you see your daughters running around?
He wasn't born when the church plant happened.
Right.
But when we moved here in 2001, he was born. He was just born. I remember him as a newborn.
What?
I remember
was
that.
he wearing a hat also when he was,
he was
still wearing a hat?
Like this.
Somebody commented on a video and said, hey, make sure you cover your eyebrows next time.
You gotta just shave them. It don't matter no more. I've never seen it. The first time I seen you without a hat, I was like, oh, he does have eyebrows. That's surprising. But so,
yeah, I mean, we started going, you know, we weren't super involved when we first started going because we didn't know church, and we were, you know, just trying to learn it. And so people did Bible studies with us and taught us the word and taught us the history of the church and the church since the beginning of time type of thing. And
no, legitimate question.
Sure.
For the history, being that we know you grew up in Germany, what's religion like in Germany?
Lutheran. I mean, there's Catholicism, Lutheran.
Did y'all go to church when y'all were in Germany?
We went on Christmas and stuff like that.
And how different was it there than now?
I mean, it's different over there in Europe, you know, just because of the church we went to. We went to the Catholic church, or we went to the Lutheran church, but we went one time a year. So that's not going to church. That's
attending a service.
Attending a service. Yeah. So it was different. We didn't go to church. We just didn't have that lifestyle. Now my mom and dad had morals and standards and all that, and we were generally good kids, you know. And
so could you say that for those that may be listening, or even, I mean, for me to understand more of it, that just because the way you're raised or your upbringing does not dictate what your, following can be. If you have a certain faith or you have a certain belief, then you'll find a community that's welcoming to you. Just like I'm assuming that your family was, you go to the church, they welcomed you in, and
Yeah.
it was.
We were timid at first because we didn't know anybody. It's like walking in a place you just don't know
Somebody
anyone.
brand new at the gym is going to show up for their workout
Yeah.
and leave and not talk to anybody until they start to get to know people.
Yep. And then you kind of build that rapport with people, and that's with any organization or whatever. And that group of people really welcomed us in. There were a lot of kids that were our age that we befriended and got to know. And this was before Facebook. This is before social media. So we was just like, we went outside and threw rocks and hit each other with sticks. I mean, that's what we did. We weren't on our phones.
My social media circle. So social media. No, I'm just kidding. But
Anyways, but it's when an organization like a church cares more about the people and their spirituality, that's the kind of church you want to be part of. A church that preaches truth and follows the word of God as closely as possible. That's what you want in a church. And you want people who are just real. And these people were real with my parents. They told them what they needed to hear, and ultimately they were pricked in their heart. Their heart was affected, and they were able to be saved. And because of that, years later, then I was saved. And then years later, my brothers and sisters, and so on and so on. But when you have people who are real, they're not just blowing smoke. They're not just telling you what you want to hear. They're real with you. They're preaching the word of God. They're teaching truth. That's what you're looking for in a church. So.
Well, and similar to what you had asked, it's like, people have free will. They grow up, they make their decisions. Michael's parents had an influence on him. He could have chosen to go a million different directions. But
and some of my brothers and sisters did a different deal. Now they've come back, but they made their own decisions too. I mean, they have that free will to do that.
Right. And so, Michael's grandparents made their decisions too, right? But his parents made a different decision. That was to go to church, which then started a chain reaction of some other good decisions in the family and whatever. And I just think about that from my family perspective of, do people make bad decisions and do they come back around and all those sorts of things? Yes, there's redemption at the end of people's stories, but I have the advantage, and I admit it's an advantage, of being young and having been taught morals and having been involved in church and those sorts of things. And I don't want to lose that, because right now I've got a little boy who's watching me. Right. And even though he's very little right now, I mean, he's watching. When my tone of voice raises, he starts yelling at me from across the room because he's confused at what's happening. And I go, oh my goodness, I need to watch how I'm talking to my wife, Yeah. I don't even have to be mad. I raise my voice and he starts to freak out, right? He's soaking all of that in. And as he gets older and he sees how I interact with people and what I do on Sunday morning, do I care more about laying around and watching my football game, or do I want to go be with people who make me better, right? He's soaking all of that in. And, my parents made a decision. Michael's parents made a decision. Now we're making decisions that we want the best for our kids. And Michael was given an opportunity at 11 to start to get introduced to good things. And I want that for my kid as well. So like you said, I mean, people can break the chain. It doesn't matter what your parents did. It doesn't matter, your past is your context. It's not your excuse, right? Yes, it's context. Yes, it made you who you are. Now go be better, right? And set the example for your next generation.
I just think about how, God works. It just amazes me because, I'm born in Germany. We could have chosen anywhere to go. We could have chosen to stay in Germany. We didn't. We chose to move to Akron, Ohio. In Akron, Ohio, we met my stepdad.
You were there with LeBron.
Yeah, he was in high school when I was there.
That's awesome. I don't like him, but that's awesome. Still, it's awesome.
I mean, you have to admit that he is a really good basketball player.
Yeah, he's a good basketball player. But
anyways, and so it's like then that decision was made, right? It could have been anywhere, but she decided to go to Akron, Ohio, and then she worked at a Kmart where my stepdad happened to just go and remodel, and then they met each other, and so then they fell in love, and he said, "Why don't you come live with me?" And then we traveled all over the United States, remodeling Kmart's, JCPenney's, and then he was just like, "You know what? I want to move to Conroe, Texas." Out of all the places, that's where we chose to live. And that's where the church is.
Throw a map up so we can see where Conroe is. Maybe Jonathan can tell us where Conroe is at.
Yeah, maybe it'll show the little home icon so we can see where you live.
Yes. And then it's just, I think about that, and then all the connections. It's like I met Jonathan, and then I met James.
That's crazy.
And I met you. And it's like, then we decided to start coming to Team Swole. And then look where we've gotten to now. And we're having these Bible discussions. We're having all these things. And God is working through all of that for all of us in a way.
Yeah, we could have gone to the gym anywhere.
Yeah.
Also,
sure.
Michael didn't even want, I'm fully convinced he did not want to go to the gym. He was just trying to be a good influence on me. And so he's like, hey, you want to go to the gym? I was like, yeah, I'd love to go to the gym. And so then we come to Team Swole, and now he likes working out.
I still have the pictures from the first time I toured your facility, and I was taking them and I was sending it to him.
So I have a bad memory only for my stories, but who was the first person to actually come to the gym?
It was me because I knew C, but he and I came together and started working out together.
Right.
It was he and I.
Because that's what always stays in my mind, especially the fact that how I've got to know you guys a little bit more, and I've had the opportunity to go to the church. Because I grew up in a Catholic family. I actually went to private school. I went to Catholic school where we had mass every Friday. But then there was a point where it just kind of dipped off, and I chose a different route. But when I came back to open up the gym was actually not even called Team Swole. It was called the Sanctuary. We literally, our logo or everything was called the Sanctuary, place of refuge, a chance for escape, like-minded individuals, a community. So I started that because I always had a little bit of that one little ounce of like, I need and I possibly should go back to, my Catholic my Catholic upbringing. But at that time, it was the fact of the way what was life presented in front of me. It just wasn't it wasn't possible. It just wasn't possible. So, but I always felt like I said, you know what, I am going to copy the church model, because when I did go to private school and I did go to Catholic school, I loved the community that he created. I loved how everybody came together. Everybody helped each other. Christmas, we were helping each other out with funds and food. And I said, well, you know what, I'm going to do this in a gym setting. So I called it the Sanctuary, but then I had to change it because there was actually another gym that had opened up called the Sanctuary. I've always owned the Team Swole name, so I switched it to Team Swole. So that's how, because for the first 2 years, we were called the Sanctuary. And I literally thought that I was creating a place to where it was going to be like a church. That's why you had to become a member. You had to be, a good person, because I would actually do a whole little interview thing and talk to people. And if you were shady, I just didn't want you. Now,
to be clear, we don't do that at church.
No. What I was just about to
We're
say.
like, hey, do you have any problems in your life? Well, yeah, we don't want you.
I think that's the part where I was probably missing out, was that I didn't take the opportunity to maybe that they needed me, but it just was the fact that I accepted more families. So then I think that's why I'm proud of the fact that within the first 3 months we were profitable. And if you're a gym and you're profitable within the first
crazy.
3 months, it's unbelievable. I had a very high overhead, but all of a sudden we blew up because families were bringing families. And everybody knew each other. And to this day, I that's why I ask so many questions about the church and how y'all run it. Because y'all the first people that I've ever known that have been so involved in a church setting that I've actually seen in person, that it's a different vibe, it's a different feeling. Whether they know each other or they don't, you guys all just have this certain connection that if somebody's outside with a flat tire, there'll be 10 guys out there helping. If there's somebody that needs groceries unloaded from the car, if the ladies are needing help, there's going to be 10 people there helping. And I pick up on that, and that's why I take whatever I'm asking y'all, because going into this new year, I think that I want to go into that same aspect. I'm not trying to build a church, but I want to build a gym of community and have everybody that's I hate to use the word, I hate the word, not necessarily faith-based, but people who will believe iron sharpens iron. understanding of what it is. Just be a good natured person, love each other, support each other, help each other, and then let's build continue to build a community. Because I mean, after 15 years in a business, I'm still adjusting to stuff, but I like what y'all have presented. I've liked what I've seen, and I think it's amazing. I mean, just from what y'all do now.
Well, so what's the passage in the New Testament talks about taking care of the house of the Lord and then the world, right? So there's a basic principle, which is when you're a part of the church family and there's a need, we're going to take care of the needs of our people so that then we can make sure that we're able to take care of the needs of those in our community, right? So when COVID hit, or not COVID, when Hurricane Harvey hit, we talk about COVID so much because it's such a wild event, but when Hurricane Harvey came, that was unprecedented, right? I mean, the hurricane came and just sat on top of Houston for just days, right? And just dumped on us. And there were houses destroyed everywhere and church buildings destroyed, right? So we were a part of rebuilding church buildings, raising money for those sorts of things. We also, we posted a GoFundMe and sent it out to different churches and community members, and we raised a few $100,000
Oh, wow.
within a week or however long it was up. And then we went, once we kind of got our people taken care of, made sure that church buildings were being rebuilt and all those sorts of things so that they're positioned to go and help people. Then we went and took our resources and our people, and we went out into the however many miles radius around our church building, and we were tearing out sheetrock with people in the community and rebuilding walls and all those sorts of things. And that's what it's supposed to be, And so if you take that same principle of how the body of Christ is run and you somewhat structure team environments in your gym and your businesses and whatever around that, which is, okay, let's take care of our people so that they can go take care of people. Right. Then, man, what that does for a community is awesome.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, that's exactly how I see what you guys are doing, just involvement in the church. It's pretty amazing. But I never would have expected that you were there that long. That's crazy. Saw him as a newborn. You ever change his diaper?
No. My mom did save James. He was at our house and he
I gotta talk to your mom. Why?
Not saved from my sins. Saved my life. I was drowning.
What?
He was drowning in our pool. My mom jumped in.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How old was James?
I don't know. Not
2.
That young? I don't know.
So that explains it.
My mom saved my life in a pool one time. I was always at Daredevil, and I think I was like 4, and we're at this hotel, and we're going to go swim, and my mom loved reading books, so she would just sit on the side of the pool reading while we swam or whatever, and man, they opened the gate, and I just ran, jumped in the pool. I did not know how to swim. I knew I didn't know how to swim, and I just jumped in anyway on the deep end.
You probably didn't know that you didn't know how to swim. You probably thought you were going to figure it out.
You're
4 years.
Yeah, I was too confident.
Yeah.
I was too confident, but I knew nobody taught me how, and they told me not to do that, and I ran and I jumped in. So my mom, in all her clothes, not planning to swim, jumped in with her book like this up above her head for those that aren't watching on YouTube, grabbed me with her left hand, pulled me above the water, shimmies to the edge of the pool, sets me down, sets her book down, and then she just swam with us in her clothes. Fun memory.
My mom lost her BlackBerry saving James Benson.
Okay, so I have...
You owe her a phone to this
For
day.
sure. And I'm going to have to talk to her about that. No, I'm glad you're here, James. Anyways, I'm just kidding. I do love you. I'm going to ask this last question. I think I want to finish off the show with this question because I'm very curious. So you guys have known each other this long, and you see so many broken families because I'll be honest, I was very, very close with my family until a few years ago, and due to certain circumstances after my divorce and a lot of different stuff, like I see myself Hey, it's real talk. aside from my immediate family, my mom had 18 brothers and sisters, so I have, probably over 60 cousins. Your stories, we grew up like that. And then certain things happen, you choose different decisions, you go down different routes. Y'all thought I was lying when I say y'all my therapist. I'll cash app y'all $60. Y'all never get it. But man, it's so crazy because that I think about the how close I was to those that grew up, whether they're family. I think the old saying that says that blood makes you family, loyalty, something along the lines. Like, but anyways, how have y'all survived over all these years and still be able to be close? I mean, y'all had to have had some kind of arguments and fights and disagreements. Like, how does this happen? Because, like I said, within the last few years, man, I can't and I don't want to reach out to my family, but I miss them. But the stubbornness, the patience that I'm trying to work on, it's different. It's different. But, I mean, when you said that you saw him as a baby and he's, over 20 years, there has been a time when y'all have had to have some kind of disagreement or argument or something. Like, how do y'all mesh it together?
Well, I mean, I've seen Jonathan at his lowest. I've seen him at his time that he struggled the most. I've seen him as his wife has struggled, and what I saw in them is what I felt in myself. And I knew that as a young kid, I needed someone to support me. And I needed someone to be real with me, but to understand that I needed help. And I wanted Jonathan to know that no matter all the noise and all the talk and all the stuff, that he had someone that he didn't have to talk to. He just needed someone to be in his corner. And that's why I wanted to go and work out with him. Because we didn't have to say anything. We didn't need to talk. I wanted him to know that someone was there. He had went through a lot of trauma. He had went through a lot of things that we don't need to get into. But what I felt like he needed was just somebody to spot him. And that's what I wanted to do. You don't, life deals you a lot of cards, and you gotta use the cards and play the cards that you're dealt. And it's not always the cards you want, and you just gotta navigate that. And someone helped me navigate those things. And I saw him and I saw his wife, and I just wanted to help. And to me, that's church. That's the community of people we want to be with, or people who want to make others better than themselves, better than their younger versions of themselves, all those things. And I bought into that when I felt that personally. And when someone helped me out, I wanted to pay it forward. And I just sought the opportunity to help the best way I could have. And he and I are still great friends today, and I don't look at him with the problems he had or the struggles or the whatever. It's not about that. I'm not keeping a record book. What I'm keeping is a real relationship with a brother, and that's what I want. And I want to continue that for as long as I can. And it's the same for James, and it's the same for you. It's the same for everybody I come in contact. I just want to be real with people. And I think that if you finding a church that are just, it's real people. The church isn't for perfect people. The church is for broken people to help each other, build each other up. And that's what I want to be a part of. A group of guys, a group of individuals, a group of families that do that. And that's, to me, that's how we've been able to hold this together, as we're spotting one another. So,
yeah, especially the fact that y'all are not blood.
Kid still calls him Uncle Michael. So you know how people talk about, like, being scared to go to the gym because they're overweight, or they're scared of how people are going to look at them, or those sorts of things. They feel like they don't fit in. And then, our reaction is, dude, I wasn't fit when I started going to the gym, right? Were you always fit? I mean, that's a ridiculous notion to go, to say.
Remember, I was the obese kid that was pretty athletic.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody started somewhere. And there was a time when I felt like the fat kid. I wasn't fat, but I was walking into church feeling like the only person who had a problem. You know what I mean? You're around people and you go, man, I wish my life was like theirs. Well, what you don't see is that their life wasn't always like that. And we should say people at church don't have rosy lives either. Everybody still struggles. Everybody still lives life. But you overcome problems, and it's that same concept of resistance training in your life, of you overcome one obstacle at a time. And that happens through having somebody spot you, having somebody show up and work out with you, somebody there to train with you. And I'm not talking about physically, I mean in life, somebody there to walk beside you and work through those obstacles with you, one small problem at a time, until finally you get to a point in your life where there's some peace. You hit a spot in the gym where you're never going to stop training, or else you'll lose it, right? And there's always something you're lacking in. Maybe you're strong, but you need to work on your endurance. Maybe you have endurance, but you need to work on your strength, and all those sorts of things. And in life, you can finally hit a spot where you go, okay, I feel like I've cleaned up a lot of the mess. Now let's work on getting better, and that's where you want to get to, but that's not a destination, that's a journey. And everybody in that room that you came and met, have had influences on my life. But that's through one good decision, one kind word at a time. James's lesson that we were telling you about was, if you want something to go home and read tonight, read 1 Corinthians 13. It talks about love and what love is. And one of those terms, the New Testament wasn't written in English. It was written in Greek, and we translate it. And so sometimes you can translate a word a couple different ways. Well, one of those words meaning in sync. What was that, James? Oh, rejoice. Yeah. So there was a word that says we rejoice in the truth. In Greek, that was a compound word, which basically means to synchronize, to pull together. And so as we love each other, as you walk into a room of people that want to love and help you, you tend to synchronize. People build relationships, people's interests start to align, and all those sorts of things, to the point that now Michael does like going to the gym, because over time, through love and care for each other, we get in sync, and lives start to merge, and you start to have family that's more than just blood. I think it's so important, man, and that's open to everybody.
Yeah. Blood makes you related. Loyalty makes you family.
Yeah, blood makes you related. Loyalty makes you family. Because I have to say it, and I know we're going a little bit further, but man, being I'm 46 years old, and I'm like, man, I'm 4 years away to be. I said half a century. Shut up. That's why I don't like it. Half a century. I'm 4 years away, man, and I'm telling you, you've always heard, like, probably, especially at the church, you probably heard the elders spoke, like, when I was your age. When I'm like, man, I feel it. I feel it. That I'm 4 years away from being half a century, and I'm learning so much I'm still learning, and I'm still understanding, but understanding also the fact of how the relationships of, like I said, of what I see of you guys. Because, I mean, honestly, I was literally, when y'all first joined, I was jealous. You brought such a crowd to the gym. Y'all were so cool and so close. When I first finding out y'all had known each other for this many years, I was jealous, because at that time, I had lost a lot of relationships. I didn't know how to get it back. But then I also thought, an old saying, or it was probably a meme I saw, but it said, God brings people into your life and then also takes out the ones you don't need. So I thought, well, maybe this is what was intended. And even though I'm sad of what I've probably have missed that not being close to my family, because I'll be quite honest, I probably won't go back to being as close to my family as I was before. I found a new family. Kind of hits different, feels different, but you know, I guess for people to know, like, I guess they get caught up in the fact of, you know, just for that saying, like, okay, you can be born to someone or be attached to it, but man, God's going to take you to a different guide, different route. You're going to come to obstacles. You're going to come to the fork in the road. You're going to have to make a choice, whether it's the right choice or the wrong choice. You're going to have to make the choice, and then whatever choice you make, it's going to be. Because even when you guys joined, I mean, in that time, I was ready to shut down the gym. I mean, that was actually in the works. I was going to shut down the gym, and then, and it was the fact that at that point when you guys came, it was just a kind of different kind of aura. And then I started having different families kind of join. And I was like, okay, maybe I like this, because before I had a lot of family involved in the gym, and I had a lot of support. And then literally at one point, it just, it crumbled. I mean, that's why I like the strong strength like this so much. It literally was like, you know what? I'm about to knock these barriers down. And I'm about to die within this. And this is the way it's going to end. But then it started picking up. And then things started changing. I mean, from the certain years, and then COVID gave me a break. I'm probably one of the only few people that was praying for COVID, because I needed time to regroup and understand, okay, what's my new path. And you guys stay supportive. We were all still communicating. We were all still trying to work out without being busted by the fire marshal and all that. And it's like, you know, we stayed together, and like that's why this came about. You know, the whole family. I was like, you know what? I'm just about to find a new family. And, you know, aside from my immediate family, and then I, you know, met my wife, and, you know, have kids. And then I never looked back to what it was, because I kept on thinking, what do I need to do different? But then I saw you guys and how y'all interacted. But the main thing, what I asked you, I always wonder, I was like, man, how do they know each other for so long and still be connected? Like, it was amazing to me. But you know, thank you for answering that, and it makes sense. It's just, you know, having the faith in it and knowing that your path is going to be, you know, revealed to you eventually. You just got to have faith and find.
Just gotta have faith.
Faith, and iron sharpens iron. You know, I'm gonna make a noise for everything. What does iron sharpen iron sound like? There it is.
No, it sounds like one more rap.
Yeah.
Oh,
One more.
that's actually pretty better.
Pretty better.
I could have thought of
Pretty better.
pretty better.
I
Pretty
think
better.
we can all agree that love isn't always easy. It's hard to love some people. And he referenced 1 Corinthians 13 earlier, but we experience that in our lives. There are people that it's just hard to be around them. It's hard to forgive them, and it's hard to love them. But Colossians says that love is the bond of perfection. Love is the thing that ties us all together. And if we practice it, even when it's hard, that's how we keep those kind of relationships. That's how we avoid injury. That's how we, and it's, you know, it's not always easy. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, as they say, but.
Because I am very unlovable sometimes. You know,
For
I mean,
Amen.
and so is Alex, especially. But I mean, yeah, we all are. But I mean, the answer to the how do you guys stay so tight and whatever is we didn't give up through the problems. Mm-hmm. I mean, my family has issues. Michael's family has had issues, you know. But if people are willing to look to truth and look to faith and look to love, then it brings people back together, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to say that my family has not always been super close. Michael's family has not always been super tight. But over time, if people have the heart to do what's right and be involved in that kind of community, right, and seek truth and seek to honor God, that's what's beautiful about a church, is it brings people back together. It holds bloodlines together. It holds people who weren't born blood family and they become family. That's why you walk into our church and I'm like, yeah, half of us are like related, you know, because it's held all of us together. The other half, not related to, but guess what? They're just as much family to us as the blood. So
No, that's what it's an awesome thing, and that's what and going into this new year. I'm definitely going to try to mimic that the presentation. This even gets even better. Yeah, see, my therapist never bought me gifts. That she just took my money. But oh my goodness, what is this, cold?
Give it to James.
Why is this so heavy?
All right.
First of all, I know you didn't
James-
rap this.
James
you are
first.
not this good of a rapper.
James first.
James first.
Did I get on camera?
You're not this good
Sure.
of a rapper. You are not this good of a rapper.
Alex,
I'm gonna rep my
Alex and
company
James, do
logo
y'all
today.
also feel bad right now that Michael's the only person who thought to do this?
Not at all.
Yeah. So James first. is it. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's actually a
I
really nice
literally
shirt.
said before I walked over here, I'm not dressed to be on camera. I'm about to be. Oh yeah.
That's totally your style.
Hey, this looks pretty sweet.
Totally
Do you
your
have a
style.
matching one?
No,
Oh.
we're not gonna match.
Well, that's okay.
We're not gonna match.
Thank you, bro.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Why, you brought gifts for everybody? So we're
Yeah, I
So-
left him at home.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they're big.
we already
delivery.
know you. Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Hey.
Maybe you're not thoughtful.
All right,
If your wife doesn't get flowers from you, why would we expect to get something from you?
go ahead,
at all.
Jonathan. I wrapped yours too.
What?
I actually only wrapped James's, which I just stuck in a bag. My wife took care of the rest.
Yeah, there's no way you wrap this.
No.
No way. This is top-notch rapping. I'm a rapper. What?
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, there. Here, I'll show the camera.
Hey, can I go ahead and say it, Jonathan, that however it did that you did those hats faster than I'm trying to do hats, we're about to hire this dude as the hat guy. Because those are actually pretty
So
nice.
I
It
know they're
says-
flat build, but you can feel free to bend them
It
because
says dude and little dude. So for those who don't know, I have a 16-month-old boy, and he just started wearing hats.
Yeah, he's
Thank
growing
you.
up like
You're
it.
welcome.
That's actually really good.
Merry
I'm-
Christmas.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm so jealous.
You don't gotta be jealous, bro.
Yeah, jealous.
Just
is
do things
good
to other
game.
people as you would want them to do to you. Y'all want to give me gifts?
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Are you hinting at something?
Kidding.
Hey, we're gonna walk outside. It's a camel. Why do I want a camel for? I don't know. Something different.
Okay, buddy.
No, first of all, I had to give. So you didn't rap it, your wife
My
did.
wife, yeah.
So I'm a big rapper. I actually watch a lot of YouTube videos on how to rap because to me that's like pretty cool. This is really good. That's why I knew it wasn't you. Good job, Miss Jenkins. All right, and you got to open it from the bottom. I know I'm not that terror kind of person. I'm gonna. Like,
Yeah.
What? My first Bible? Say what? This is actually really good. You know, this is my first Bible.
Oh, I'm glad.
Oh my God. Oh, dang, son. What? You should not give me something like this. Oh my goodness. Yo. This is beautiful.
It's a study Bible, so hopefully as you read it, it'll help give us some commentary and.
So what does it mean by study Bible? What does
So,
that
like,
mean? So
so
it
yeah,
basically
it
breaks
gives-
down the verses and
it'll give
everything.
commentary at the
Oh, thank you,
bottom.
Jesus. That's exactly what I need.
Well, my name is Michael, not Jesus, but
Oh, thank you.